Lions only Jermell Charlo finally reacts to being left off of a lot of mainstream boxing media's pound for pound list, their updated list after Lomacheniko loses to Teofimo Lopez recently on ESPN. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego in the back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Shout out to everybody who sent super chats, Cash App. That's $Boxing Ego. If you want to support the channel above and beyond, great way. We're going to close the year strong, and I got a lot of stuff in store that I'm trying to line up for the channel, so stay tuned. Also, another great way to support ESPN Plus. Use my link. Shout out to everybody who used it for the Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Gaethje win for Khabib Nurmagomedov. Then he retired. It was pretty impressive, you know, that in the UFC you don't always see guys go undefeated. So shout out to everyone using my ESPN Plus link. You can continue to do so. ESPN Plus, they got a ton of original content, docuseries, documentaries, archive fights, boxing, UFC, you know, ton of content. Get ESPN Plus as a standalone app, or you can bundle it, ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus, all three apps, one price, $12.99. Let's get it. Now, Jermell Charlo, he finally reacts to being left off of mainstream boxing media's pound for pound list. Now, I really want to talk about this Jermell situation, but it's ironic that I say stuff on my channel and then it comes into fruition and then it happens. Ego Stradamus continues to strike and reign in the world of boxing. You have Jermell Charlo basically speaking out in agreement to what I've told you guys recently regarding the pound for pound list. You know, I say it, and then you see other boxers who are in the industry and great fighters like Jermell Charlo, and they're basically agreeing. They're agreeing with what's being said. So let me get to the actual point. This is twin Charlo, one half of Lions Only, brother, boxer, father. He posted this picture of him and his brother kind of smiling, and this is the caption that Jermell had wrote. He said, us, quote, "Hey, you heard how they did Lions Only on the pound for pound list? BS, bull-ish. 3 of the 4 belts, I guess that don't mean ish. Lions Only over everything. Hashtag OHB, hashtag Lions Only, hashtag Charlo World." So he's feeling the type of way that he's not getting the propers and the proper respect paid for him and his brother and what they're accomplishing. He's like, yo, how I got all these belts in the division and they ain't trying to put me on no pound for pound list, you know. And I think just as a Jermell, he's obviously making money. Jamal's making money, so that's not an issue. They're both paid. You know, it looks like they have a dope family life and a dope lifestyle. They get to wear designer and stuff like that. But in your job, anybody's job, everybody wants to be told that they're doing a good job. You see what I'm saying? So this is BS that, you know, black fighters primarily in the sport of boxing get treated like this, to the point where no matter what you do, it's like never enough. And old media doesn't want to put guys like the Charlo brothers. Listen, one thing that I think I do very well on my channel, and that's like separating my emotions and personal feelings and relationships with the business. And no, it don't matter if you like Jermell, if you like his personality, if you like Jermell, if you like him, if you like his fighting style. Talent is talent, belts are belts, you know, resume is resume. And you got to judge the fighter. You can't, oh, Jermell flashed on somebody or went off. That none of that has nothing to do with if he should be on the pound for pound list, you know, because you don't like his voice or, you know, some stupid reason. The bottom line is, as I told you, they are disrespectful to the Charlo brothers. Listen, when the Charlos first, like when I see them, they were doing these rants and stuff online, and I was like, man, these kids is hot. Well, not kids, but these dudes is hot-headed. They going in, you know, they got a chip on their shoulder. But now I'm realizing they had a point all along. Like some of these rants and stuff they were saying, they talked about stuff like this. Everybody's against us anyway, you know? And that's what it is, bro. Lomachenko just lost, didn't do anything for 7 rounds versus Teofimo before he finally got into gear and started throwing some punches. You have never in your lifetime watched an elite fight, a big name fight with Jermell or Charlo, where they didn't really throw no punches for 7 rounds. You know, people marginalize and criticize the Charlos. They say, oh, Charlo, he lost to Korobov, which he didn't. I was at that fight, right? But this is what the haters say. They say he lost to Korobov. But you've never seen Jermell look like Lomachenko did in the 7 rounds where he was like hesitant and apprehensive to throw punches. He's never been that. You look at the Derevchenko, he had a excellent fast start. You know, Korobov, he did good in that fight. Like that fight, Korobov won some early rounds, but he almost stopped Korobov in the 12th. Yet and still, they don't give credit for stuff like that. But Gennady Golovkin, he's in the same division as Charlo. He lost, in my opinion. He really should have lost to the guy that Charlo just dominated, but they don't have Jermell in the list. So how you have a pound for pound list and you put Gennady Golovkin up there, but you have no Jermell, when they just have a mutual opponent recently in Sergey Derevchenko, who is a quality fighter and is a hard style to beat if you don't fight him the right way. But Jermell, being the intelligent fighter that he is and having that Lions only lion heart, he knew how to fight Derevchenko. He stood his ground and let Derevchenko know it wasn't sweet. You can't just come in the inside and hit me and shock me with 1,000 different angles and all this stuff like he did Golovkin, who's flat-footed with no head movement. That's why he had that success with Golovkin, but he couldn't have it with Charlo. Charlo's too strong, he's tall, and he has a jab. He can box, and he's faster, so his response time is quicker. But yet and still, they don't want to put these two brothers you see on the screen on the pound-for-pound list. How does that work? But Golovkin, they could put him on the list, and Golovkin, he looked bad versus Derevchenko. The referee had to jump in the middle because it looked like he was going to get potentially stopped or at least dropped. You know what I mean? And then we just watched the same Derevchenko have not the same success with Charlo based on how Charlo fought him and his skill set. But they put Golovkin back on the list. Now, I could understand if Gennady Golovkin had this illustrious resume. Like if you put Pacquiao in the top 10, I ain't mad. You know, he's a great fighter. He's a Hall of Famer for sure. Manny Pacquiao got 70 plus fights. So even though he has fights where he lost, or, you know, the people perceive that he lost, he still has a great resume and he still showed separation at the elite level. Gennady Golovkin, if you look through his resume, his best resume names, he has never showed separation against the best names. Jacobs, I thought Jacobs beat him. I was at that fight too. Right? Canelo, first fight was a draw, controversial. Second fight, Canelo beat him, came with a better game plan, and Triple G didn't have early success at all, just like Lomachenko versus Teofimo. He didn't have no success until later in the fight. And it was a little bit too little too late because you gave up so many rounds, embarrassingly. Another Eastern European fighter, just like Lomachenko looked versus Teofimo. You know, Canelo was putting paws on him early. The Derevchenko fight, Derevchenko clearly beat him. You know, I thought Derevchenko beat him more precise and clean than Jacobs, who I thought beat him, and Canelo in the second fight, who I thought beat him. Because Jacobs got dropped. Derevchenko did get dropped, but Derevchenko was just on his ass too much, you know, pause. So it's really not making sense, but this is what they're pushing. So I understand some of the rants and why Charlos, they fight for themselves and their family and their fans. Because look, this man got all these belts. Like this just sounds stupid that Boxingego is the only person putting a damn Charlo or both of them on the pound for pound list, and this man got all this artillery and all this hardware. And he got trainer of the year, especially if Errol Spence beat Danny Garcia. Damn sure Derek James. And this is what we see in boxing. You have a black trainer like Derek James, and they're hesitant to put him as trainer of the year, and he's clearly trainer of the year. The pandemic slowed boxing up, so we didn't get all the fights, that we normally probably would have got. There's nobody, if Errol Spence beats Danny Garcia, there's nobody more deserving than Derek James, point blank, period. But they don't have a problem giving Robert Garcia, Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach will win it 18 times in a row. And then Derek James has crazy back-to-back years. Errol Spence one year beats Mikey Garcia, and then undefeated Mikey Garcia, who kept calling and picking and taunting the bull, and got steamrolled. And then Sean Porter unification. And he had Jermell Charlo knock out the guy who allegedly beat him, Tony Harrison, in December. And they don't give Derek James his props either. Same thing with his pupil, his star pupil, one of them, Jermell Charlo. He up here with all these belts that you see on the screen, and people are acting like he shouldn't be on the pound for pound list. For what? But then they got Inoue on there. Bro, this man, I like Inoue. See, this is the problem with old media, and this is why they're extinct and a dying breed, and no one really respects them. It's because they turn it into something that it don't have to be. Like, in a way, he's a beast. I'm gonna watch his upcoming fight, Halloween. I like him. Great left hook to the body, excellent jab. He's a fun little fighter to watch, so I enjoy him, right? But they're putting him at the pound for pound list, like I predicted, Igor Stradamus. They putting him at number 1, number 2, just like they did Chocolatito and Golovkin and Lomachenko. All these other fighters have no problem cracking the top 3 easily in front of Andre Ward when he was active, in front of Terrence Crawford, in front of Errol Spence, and they don't even want to put the Charlos. It's just like, that's why it's like a personal grudge or something. How is the Charlos both not on the top 10? It's like they got 2 black fighters per list. You know what I'm saying? It's a 2 black maximum. But all the lists from that we've just recently seen from mainstream media, not one of those lists, ESPN, Ring Magazine, not one of them had more than 2 black fighters on it. And you have 2 just in the Charlos that should be on there. Man, stop it. This man just won a unification versus Jason Rosario, and it looked like he was giving birth. He was having convulsions and contractions and all types of amniotic fluid or whatever was wrong with him. I hope that he's safe and everything's good, but he was going through it, bro. When Jermell punched him in the tummy like King Hippo off of Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and they don't want to give this man no credit. But see, this man, boxing fake. I'm just here to tell you. That's why I come in, rob the game, get all this money in boxing, and then I just do my thing. Because boxing, a bunch of snakes and fakes in this game. They don't want to give credit to certain fighters, especially black fighters. I'm keep saying that. They don't want to do it. And it's for what? And then the worst part about it, you got a guy like Jermell Charlo. He's brash. He's outspoken. Woo, woo, woo. But the thing is, he's winning. So you can't really worry about that extracurricular stuff. Hold on, I can't show this for copyright reasons, but he got it posted. You know what I mean? So you can't worry about that. You just have to worry about the quality of the fighter. He's winning fights. His only loss, he arguably didn't even lose. A lot of people thought he didn't even lose that one, but they still don't want to put him on the pound for pound list. And these people, these racists and stuff in the boxing game, they'll be quick to count him out of every fight. They'll pick Jason Rosario to beat him, who's a great fighter. Jason Rosario was looking mad dangerous in that fight. But they'll pick Jason Rosario to beat Jermell, and then when he shows a different wrinkle, boxes well, but still shows that explosive power and shows that he can switch it on and finish and go to offense and hurt his guy and drop him a couple times in the unification, they don't want to give him his props. So how you thought Jason Rosario was going to beat this man on the screen, and you picked against Jermell Charlo, but then when he proves you wrong, you don't want to give him his credit? How does that work? How's that work? So you didn't think he was good enough to beat guys like Rosario. You didn't think he was good enough to beat Harrison in the rematch. Then he stops both of them, and that's not good enough. Even the mandatories, Erickson Lubin, undefeated guy when he fought Jermell. Mandatory, worked his way up. Southpaw, Southpaws like Errol Spence and other southpaws, Pacquiao, give people a lot of problems. Jermell stopping southpaws that are mandatories that were confident. Listen, if you think about it, Erickson Lubin was popping off the same type of ish that Teofimo was popping to Lomachenko's team. But the difference is Erickson Lubin didn't live up to it like the Fimo Team Lopez. You know, Team Lopez, they did a good job and lived up to the trash talk. Erickson Lubin, if you look at the Charlo fight, he didn't, because he got laid out stiff, rigor mortis. You know what I mean? Charles Hatley, another mandatory, amateur experience, amateur guy. And Charlo beating all these dudes, but nobody putting the Charlos up on the pound for. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. Man, the game is fake. This is what they don't want. They don't want the pound for pound list looking like this picture. Telling you, you can say whatever. I don't care. Leave it in the comments. I don't care. What I'm saying is the truth. They don't want the pound for pound list to look like this and have too many of them. We'll just leave it at that. Quote them. You know, how you don't have the Charlos on your list, but Artur Beterbiev is up there. You know what I'm saying? Another fighter that I really like. But at the same time, Beterbiev has one really solid name and win on his resume, and that is against Alexander Vostik, who really didn't have no crazy resume. Alexander Vostik didn't have no crazy. He had top rank. You know, a lot of the guys, they just be matched like grooming type fights. And then he finally beats a name in Adonis Stevenson after Adonis Stevenson was in a all-out war with Badu Jack. And coming off of that, then Vostik beats him. And Vostik was badly hurt in that fight and almost stopped himself, you know, before he hurt and, you know, put Adonis in a coma. I hope Adonis is doing well as well. You know what I mean? But Vostik had one name on his resume. And the funny thing is, look at how they do black fighters. When Adonis Stevenson was active, they said he ain't fighting nobody. They said Adonis is fighting bums. Why is he fighting Andre Fonfara? Shout out to my dude Fonfara. He said, why are they fighting him again the second time? You already beat him. Boom, boom, boom. But then as soon as a non-black fighter like Vostik stops Adonis, then they say that's a great win. So Beterbiev beating Vostik. Vostik only had one real crazy name on his resume, who they said wasn't a crazy name because they hated on Adonis Stevenson when he was a champion and when he was on top of his division, or one of the guys on top. You see what I'm saying? So it's not making no sense. These guys, quote unquote, suck until somebody else beats them. It's somebody that you pulling for. So Beterbiev, he's a beast. He's a monster. He got cracks. But how's he on the pound for pound list when he don't have names as deep as Jermell Charlo? Even Jermell Charlo has K9 Bunders, champion. He has Julian J. Rock Williams, who went on to become a champion in a dominant fashion, beating Hurd. And he also just recently beat Derevchenko, who Golovkin lost to. So he should have been a champion. Come on, let's stop playing dumb. Let's stop playing dumb here, bro. And he can't get the Canelo Triple G fights because they ducking him. Don't want the work. Don't want the smoke. You know, Jermell Charlo, I don't even have to go through his resume. It's just, you got to make it make sense to me, partner. You got to make it make sense. So, needless to say, the streets know what it is. The Charlo brothers, they definitely did great on their doubleheader, whether people in the mainstream media want to give them credit or not. But hopefully these fighters like Jermell and Jermell Charlo, they look to channels like mine and tap in with me. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to call it straight, fair. You know, it's not no bias stuff. Yeah, I'm not just going to give you credit. I don't expect you to just give me favorites. But you see, this is what old media does. So just tap in with channels. You know, shout out to Jermell. I think he's pretty in tune with what's going on and who's who in the media game. That's why he even responded to it, because he be paying attention. You know, I was at one of his fights and Jermell said something to the fact, he said, I see all these videos. I know what people are saying, you know, and I think he's just like, I mean, just think about it. If you were Jermell Charlo, you keep doing all this stuff, proving stuff to your fans, proving stuff to the world, proving stuff to yourself, you know, because you could say whatever, but you still have to accomplish it. He proving stuff to himself, etc. And people are acting like he didn't even do that. It's like people say you can't do a backflip, and then you bust and hit that backflip and land it perfectly, and they're like, act like they weren't impressed, but they were the same detractors who said you couldn't do it. But now they acting like they're not impressed when they see you do it, and they're like, do it again, and then you do it again, and they act like they're not impressed. So they keep telling you what you can't do, and then you achieve it, and then you can do it, and now they act like they're not moved and motivated by it, like it don't mean nothing. And that's what they doing with Charlo. And it's sad because the Charlo's a great fighter. And so he's probably like, man, what am I winning all these fights for? You know, just from a respect from your peers. Like, look, he already got money. Look at his whips. He got money. He like, man, we taking these tough fights and putting on these events for respect. And then we ain't getting the respect. People ain't putting me on the pound for pound. So you have to feel slighted. Whether, I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to stop what he's doing and stop his movement. He's still going to do his thing at ringside with the Lions, but it has to be annoying, you know? Like, it's just like that's what happens when you're great. You get like LeBrons or Kobe's, you win a ring and they say, oh, you ain't nothing. And then you do it again, and then they hating every season. Every season, they're hoping Kobe Bryant loses, hoping LeBron loses. That's what they doing to the Charlos. And old media think by putting these brothers off the list that it's gonna change anything. That's why you just, you know, we seen this with the Floyd era. Floyd, all the people that didn't want to see him prevail, and he kept winning. So this should be motivation anyway for fighters like Jermell and Jamal. Man, keep caking up, get that money, get in and get out, make smart investments and business investments outside of boxing or even through boxing in different avenues, and diversify, and just don't let people hold you down, because ultimately we've seen it. I mean, I've even seen it on my channel. When I first started, people were like, oh, look at you, you ain't getting no views. But then years later, a decade later, I'm still here, you know what I mean? Still making money, still doing this full time while other people working regular jobs and stuff, which is cool. But I'm talking about the haters that had something to say. And you don't get to, I'm doing what I want to do, wake up when I want, and I get to do what I want to do, and what I enjoy doing for a living. So that's definitely a good feeling. But Jamal Charlo, keep your head up. Just keep kicking doors now. These racists ain't gonna mess with you. They ain't gonna mess with you. But the streets know what it is. Shout out to the Charlos, great performance in their last fight. They definitely should be on everyone's pound for pound list. Listen, again, if you have black skin, why do you have to show all this Carfax reports and all this stuff, Fight Facts reports about resume and seats sold, and you have to compile all this information, but then old media has no problem letting in Artur Beterbiev or other people into the pound for pound list with no questions asked, and they have one good name. Like, Inoue just had a war with Donaire, who was considered past his prime. Nonito Donaire lost by stoppage to a black fighter from Jamaica, Nicholas Walters. By stoppage, he was stopped in that fight. He lost to an Afro-Cuban fighter even before that, Guillermo El Chicao Rigonao, and he has another loss before that. So Inoue beats him after Donaire was considered past it. Donaire had tough fights with the people I just told you and how he lost those fights. Been stopped. He had a very tough fight with Cesar. What's his name? This dude from Mexico. It's a Cesar dude. Look up on his resume. You'll be able to find it. He had a very tough fight with him, and later drops back down to weight and still gives Inoue a super tough fight. He breaks. Listen, he broke. I'm gonna show you. Hold on. I'll just pull it up, because that's what I like to show you. That's the great thing about my channel and new media. Like, I could show you better than I could tell you. So if you don't know, I want to be specific. I don't want to be lazy here. So I'll just tell you who I'm talking about. Donaire also lost to Carl Frampton, right? So he was considered past it. he had a tough fight. Cesar Juarez, this dude in 2015 gave him a super tough fight. Go watch that fight. 17-3 record. Bro, he gave him a tough fight. This dude right here. That's the Cesar Juarez. Told you his name was Cesar. Right? And hold on. Let me, because I don't know exactly how to spell his name. I'm going to show you. So he fought, look, Ring TV. See how quick I brought it up? Nayo Anui reveals that he suffered eye socket fractures in a war with Donaire. Boom. I made a video about this. Nayo Anui suffered orbital bone fracture and a broken nose. Right? So he was, look, breaking. Here's my video from November 19, 2019. Told you, I've been on the scene. I've been on it. Make sure y'all smash the like button. I said breaking. Nonito Donaire broke Inoue's nose and orbital bone in a classic. It's all here. So, old media doesn't put, they don't put Jermell on the pound for pound list. He just came off a unification against a bigger person, right? Against a bigger person. And Inoue is ranked number 1, 2, or whatever they put him, right? Wherever they decided to put him. And he coming off a war with Donaire where he got a broken nose and orbital bone. Nonito Donaire shattered his eye and was considered past it. And it's all here. Here's the video. I made a video about it. So it's just like, how do guys like Lomacheniko lose? And when he's 8-1 and he has a record like that, they put him in the number 1 pound for pound slot. And then when Nayo Anui, he can have a war with the guy who's considered like not at in his prime, at his peak, and that guy gives you a ultra tough fight where you hurt your eye and have injuries. Who did that to Jermell or Jamal Charlo? Nobody. You know what I mean? It's crazy. That's my time. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.